IFAB Online.
Welcome to IFAB Online.
Yokoso IFAB Online. Hello and welcome. The next hour is focused on fundraisers in Europe seeking funding in Asia. I'm Craig Pollard, your host from here in Okinawa, Japan. Right now, I'm on the fringe of a typhoon, so please forgive the odd window rattle and gust of wind. We're joined here today by Tracy Goh in Singapore and by Karen Kearney in the UK. Each of us is going to take 10 minutes to tell you everything we know about fundraising in Asia for European organizations and projects. After these three presentations, I'm going to ask Tracy and Karen some difficult questions about fundraising in the region, which I'm hoping will create a useful conversation that will help to make your global fundraising in Asia smarter and sharper. So first up, Tracy is our expert on Asian culture and giving, having been fundraising in Singapore, Hong Kong, and China for the past 15 years. She is chair of Chapel & York Singapore Foundation. Over to you, Tracy.
Thanks, Craig. Hi, everyone. This is Tracy, calling from Singapore. So, as Craig has mentioned, I've raised funds for the last 15 years in the region, mainly for the universities in Singapore, as well as in healthcare, where I manage an endowment fund for a hospital. In recent years, I actually headed a couple of local charities as well, and I had a hand on an overseas startup charity in Singapore. Sadly, that didn't take off very well because the culture didn't quite mix. So that's where I come in. I will be doing more of a candid approach to illustrate the different behavioral patterns and practices of how Asia culture is going to be equally important, but many of us keep forgetting. What do you mean by culture? It's not about your nationality, it's not about your ethnicity. It's actually how different groups of people act, think, and behave because of their age, their socioeconomic status, their education background, upbringing, etc. So when we talk about international fundraising, you need to be culturally competent, which means you need to know how to interact with people, interact and engage with people that like your prospects, your donor, your alumni, and your parents. And you must be able to be flexible to adapt to the other person's culture, norms, which is about food, business, and family. So it's big, but it's all about what you do day in and day out, actually. So, okay, let's talk about these cultural variables in various titles. Okay, so first, I want to talk about relationships. Actually, when you're in Europe, I think you are more focused on what we call deal-focused cultures, where relationships actually grew out of transactions and contracts that have been made. But actually in Asia, it's the other way around. So it's very much relationship-focused. So your donations, your transactions, and your contracts are usually derived from developed relationships. First, you must have the relationship, then you can have anything else from it, you know, business or donation, things like that. And in Asia, okay, seniority and rank is very, very important. Never forget about that. Okay, that. So when you do come to Asia, always try to engage your senior leaders, either your university president or your chief development officer at one point, you know, during the contact. So because we need to show respect and commitment in the region, in Asia, it's very important. So you don't just go at a more junior level, always engage your senior levels to show respect, actually. And in Asia, corporate settings, actually, usually it's a top-down directive, so which is why it's so important to get to top man. So don't waste time at executive levels unless you are sure they can open the door for you to go all the way up where all the decision makers are. Yeah? Okay? Right. So that brings us to talk about communication. In Asia, it's all about face-to-face. Yeah? phone calls, yeah, text, yeah, but you still need that face contact. I know COVID is interrupting this a little, but I think we're starting to be able to travel. So make sure you have a good travel budget to do regular visits, to visit your overseas prospects and donors, yeah? Do make plans, okay? And if you're talking about China, especially, make sure your marketing collaterals are in Chinese. Yeah, regardless whether your contact person in China speaks perfect English, writes perfect English, it's a form of respect and they think of it as very important. So you must have at least a simple version or whatever version you can do, but in Chinese. When you are talking in a group, always show respect. Of course, your focus is the top person, yes. Try to engage everyone in the group because, you know why? Because it's the junior person that you'll be liaising with. It's how they do it in Asia setting. So always make sure you know the person's PA, secretary, or whoever person is doing the follow-up for you. So that's very important. So you do not want to ignore the person in the group as you don't want to offend that person. So show respect to everybody in the group. Try to communicate, even eye contact, at least a little nod if you don't have opportunity to speak to the person. Yeah. Okay. Time. Always be punctual. Always be punctual because Asia, we have a very busy schedule and we like to stick to schedules. So don't try to, if you're really, really late for any reason, please let the person know. Okay, this don't just apply to meetings, this apply to dinner engagements and lunch engagements and tea as well. Okay, so everything. So please be punctual. Yeah. Okay. Let me try to focus a little bit more about the business etiquettes in China. Okay. Well, I'm sure everybody is very interested to know about China because there's so many people who are so rich in China and you want to raise funds from them, right? Okay. So Asia, closeness is something that you need to keep a distance actually. For example, in France, right, where you know the person a little bit more, your friends, you meet, even a business contact that you have been liaising for a while, you may do the kiss on the cheek thing. But in Asia, especially in China, just stick to the handshake, please, regardless of how well you know them, no kiss on the cheek. Just keep it professional, okay? And when you sit down, and a professional sitting especially, is very, very important, yeah? Because even entering the room is important because in China itself, it's also practiced very much in Hong Kong. Singapore, not so, but usually the highest ranking person will enter the room first. So that would be the highest ranking person of the group. Yeah? Okay. The host needs to sit to the left of the most important guest. Just take note of this. And always place, like for a dinner engagement, a round table, place the guest of honor facing the door. So sitting is important as well. Okay, so we talked about respect in communication earlier. We talked about observing seniority. Now, I want to stress this. Face and respect is utmost important in Asia, especially to the Chinese. Yeah. So this also applies to correspondence. For example, when you are sending out emails and letters, inviting them to events and things like that, please don't send them a link for them to type in an online form kind of thing. This, you send it to their PA. Never send it to them, please. So this is seen as rude and disrespectful. So this not just apply in corporate setting, this actually applies to even associations and societies in Asia setting, because sometimes you're talking about certain foundations or family associations and things like that, So always show respect and face. Don't discuss business during meals, okay? That's a no-no, unless the host initiate that. Meal times is just talking about maybe indirect business references. It's all about building that relationship, that closeness with the person you're trying to develop that relationship with. So talking about this, and one thing that we all need to be very, very mindful of, which I think a lot of people are not aware. When you at dinner engagement and lunch engagement in Asian setting, we like to click glasses. Okay, the junior person should always hold the glass lower than that of the senior person. Okay, this applies to all settings. It's always the case. So always do this. The senior person is always the one with the higher one. Okay. Another thing, we talk about respect, which is why, as well as space, right? So we do not say no in Asia setting, especially for Chinese. We do not say no. So we will not tell you if it's a no. So we'll just say maybe, or we'll see. Let me share with you a little bit of a success example, how we managed to raise funds in China. When I was in National Technology University, we raised a couple of $1 million from China alumni. How did we go about doing that? Okay, 3 reasons. First, we have very strong relationships, which was built by the alumni office. We have over 20 alumni chapters set up in China, actually, right? They actually hold regular events. So there is always an interaction between the institution as well as the alumni in the different regions where all the chapters are in China. And a couple of all these alumni do have businesses in Singapore or Hong Kong. So the major donors, the big money, were mostly donated actually through all these companies. Yeah, well, it's because, transferring money out from China, we all know that's an issue. Okay, even now. Okay, so it's also good to know that there also are small donations, but interestingly, they're all done in cash. So sometimes the alumni director, when they're attending the events in China, will end up having a handful of cash to bring back to Singapore because they raise funds among themselves, some money, a couple hundred, a couple of thousands, and then they just hand the cash to my alumni director or whoever is representing from the development office to bring back to Singapore. That's how things are done. Okay, that's my very quick sharing. So I'll leave it to Karen to give you a more structured view of how she raised funds successfully from Asia. And then we will come back with Craig and Karen with a different aspect to answer more questions on how to do it more successfully in Singapore, Hong Kong, and China.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Tracy. I think you've just perfectly demonstrated the value of having local cultural expertise wherever we're raising money from. And I think thank you to Tracy and thank you to Karen for your time. I hope this has been useful to everyone, and I hope that this has helped to make your Asian fundraising a little smarter and a little sharper. Thank you.